And I'm going to leave out a crucial step, so you won't be able to do it, even if you want to. Okay, so they'll put a 20 on their scanner, and they'll scan it. And then they'll flip it over, and they'll scan that. And then they'll put it on their copier with some regular paper, because they're just practicing. And they scan it through, and they get the front looks pretty good. And so then they turn it over around, and they stick it down, and they run it back through again to try to get the back right. And you know, how many cases do I have where I have money that's like offset, you know, it's stupid. But they take it out there, and what they do when they go into a store is they look for the youngest, cutest little clerk. You know, this is for like the guys, or for the girls, you know, they wear the lowest cut shirt, and they look beautiful and whatever, and they'll go and they'll try to pass it to that person, and they work it. And this brings me to another really important term in my job, which is social engineering. Social engineering is trying to get you to accept something, you know, and not question it and go along with it. And women in particular are susceptible to this. And if you could take one thing home with you tonight from my speech, besides the great joke, which you're going to tell everyone tomorrow at work, I know you are, but try to remember this, which is just resist a little bit. It's okay to be a little adverse to people. And when, you know, okay, my daughter brings home a form that says they're selling $15 at Legoland, you know, passes on May 1st for Carlsbad Day. I'm thinking, well, that's a great deal. Okay, so when you start to fill out the form, it asks for your name, your address, it asks for your social security number. Like, what? I'm not putting my social security number on a form for the Carlsbad PTO to buy Legoland tickets. Now, all of you have to start thinking like that too. When you get a form that asks you for something odd, don't do it. Try to run it through without. Now, up until a few years ago, people's social security numbers were on their Medi-Cal cards. And when I would go out, people would tell me that. They'd say, you know, I'd like to protect my social security number, but it's on my health card. And, you know, I have to show that all over the place. And to all these clerks and all these people in that's right. And nowadays, you're just going to have the last four. So changes are starting to happen, but you need to be a little bit proactive. Try to do that. Try to look out for yourself a little bit. Another thing that helps a lot is shredding. Place where you're very vulnerable to identity theft is your mail. Okay, so my husband and I, we live in a neighborhood in San Marcos, and it has one of those big mailboxes where everybody puts, you know, the mail carrier takes the back off and says, okay. I have really good luck at Postal with the inspectors, the police officers for the Postal Service that I work with. They're top notch, but not so much good luck with the people who put the mail in the thing. Okay, all the time I'm getting my neighbor's mail. Not always the same neighbor. So it's okay because I know my neighbors and they know me. My husband's a deputy sheriff and they know we're not going to do anything weird with their mail. But the thing I don't understand is how come no one ever brings me mail? Never. Okay, because I live with other people who are not so, you know, upstanding about delivering. Or sometimes they'll give it. We did get one piece of mail once, and it was long past something was due, and I just wondered about that. So we got a post office box, and inside the post office, we have better luck getting only our mail. Occasionally we get someone else's mail, and so I assume someone else gets ours. But I try to encourage people to be very safe with your mail. Sometimes I'll go into a business, and on the front counter, they have the little slot for the mail. That makes me nuts. And I tell them, please don't leave your mail out. Your mail, you're so vulnerable when someone else gets your mail. Why? Because they open up your SDG&E bill, if you don't pay your bills online, and they have a copy of your check. And you can go home and make checks. I mean, it's totally fine to have check writing program, saves you $7 from having to order it. You're not going to have Mickey Mouse on it, but you know, you can buy the safety checks, whatever. You can print them however you want. And all you need is the account number or the routing number. You know, when you go pass a check, and I know I'm talking to a lot of bankers, and I might be saying this not 100% accurate, but when you go and pass a check, the processing, they don't really care about what name and address is on the top and that sort of thing. They care about the routing number and the account number, and you can make checks with all that will pass and be able to steal someone's account. So if you have a check from their mail, you're able to do that. And now who's going to do that? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But that's because I'm not addicted to methamphetamine. But thousands of people are. And I'm not talking about nationwide. I'm talking about San Diego County. These people don't work. You know what happens if you take methamphetamine? You don't sleep for 4 days. Okay, so you're a drug addict. You don't sleep. Of course, you don't have a job. You know, how do you get more methamphetamine because you're an addict? You go and you steal mail. And how easy is that? Okay, my parents live in rural Vista. They have a mailbox right outside their driveway. And you know what? They put a flag up on it. And what does that flag say to the mailman? There's bills in here. And what does the flag say to a meth addict? More methamphetamine coming your way! Because they steal the mail and they take it to someone higher up in the methamphetamine food chain, and that person is able to make checks and whatever else they want with my parents' name, address, phone number, their account number, other mail they've taken. They know they have a Sears account, they know they have an ARCO card, whatever else mail is in there, and they're able to do damage with that. Now, I told you my husband's a deputy sheriff. Okay, when they do a traffic stop, anytime they come in contact with these people on methamphetamine, they all have backpacks, right? Okay, what's in their backpack? Your stolen mail. 9 times out of 10, I'm not exaggerating, that is currency in the methamphetamine world. Okay, you can trade that. It used to be you'd have to go and break into somebody's garage and steal a power tool or something interesting, and then you take that to your pusher and trade that for methamphetamine. Now it's just mail, so that's pretty good because your backpack can be full of it, your car can be full of it. I try to encourage you, if something like that happens to you, some kind of theft, either your mail, your wallet, your purse, any kind of credit card, report it. I know you think, oh geez, I don't have time. I'm not gonna bother a police officer. I don't want them to come to my house just because I haven't gotten bills this week. I think my mail's been stolen. Well, you know what? Okay, there's some social engineering right there. You're thinking of the police officer instead of yourself. But if all else fails, you can go to a police station. A lot of people don't know this. You can go to any police station you want, any sheriff's station, and you can say, hi, I'd like to file a counter report. And they're going to have a police officer there, a volunteer, somebody who will fill out the paperwork for you. It's no inconvenience whatsoever. And that way, when someone does a traffic stop on someone and they find some bills of yours, all these police cars and sheriff cars have computers in their cars. Anna Winn, oh, she reported her mail was stolen yesterday. And she reported someone was in her house and took her son's Xbox. So then they look in the back, they see the Xbox, case solved, blah, blah, blah. But they don't know that if you haven't filed a crime report. So please help us help you by reporting when these things happen. They're not inconvenient. I'm not saying it's going to solve your case, but it is helpful to us, especially out in the field. They can make an arrest right now. Very important thing is shredding. In my house, that is part of my kids' chores. I know it sounds ridiculous, but they are master shredders. Even our little one, she's 7. I think her dad might have had to sing her to sleep tonight, and he only knows one song, and that's the theme from SpongeBob. So I hope when I get home she's asleep. But she's very good at shredding, and it's a real important tool in our house. The kids will grow up knowing how important it is to shred their mail and protect their own identities, I hope. A lot of times people feel that they are to blame when something like this happens. I know that happens to my embezzlement victims. They think, oh my gosh, if only I hadn't hired Annette Yeomans, if only I hadn't, believed in so-and-so. Or I try, part of what I do in my job is I try to help my victims realize this is not your fault. This is a criminal's fault. This is someone who's addicted to meth. That's their fault. That's not your fault. How's that your fault? Well, it's my fault because I left my mail in my car and my car was locked. That's not your fault. Okay, you could have maybe prevented it a little bit. You could have hidden the mail, you could have mailed the mail, you could have done a little something, but that is the criminal's fault for victimizing you. And a lot of this identity theft is completely random. There's websites that get shut down by the FBI almost as soon as they get up and running, but they do have websites out there that these criminals know to go to, and they have these 16 digits and the security codes posted online. And so but how are you going to prevent that? You can't prevent that. That's just random. And a lot of this stuff is happening overseas. We have European countries that have people over there in little crime rings, and they're stealing internationally your credit card number. There's nothing you can do about that. The good news for you is you're not going to be out anything monetarily, but it is an annoyance. It's a problem, but even that, I would like to go back to our theme of empowerment, inspiration, and connection. your banks and your other financial institutions, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, they have all come a tremendously long way toward protecting you. With one phone call now, you can report that, it's honored. It's not like, 10 years ago when it was real embarrassing and they might have thought, no, you really did it, Miss Winn. Now it's commonplace and it's accepted that there is identity theft, and I think you'll have a much smoother time dealing with it. That being said, it's still a heck of a thing to go through. So any little steps you can take to protect your identity and educate your children, also watch out for the senior citizens in your life, is much appreciated by all of us. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good evening.